This is my summary review of the VECYS CR60 dual zone car refrigerator. It has 60 liters of capacity separated into two zones by a removable insulating panel, 26 liters on the refrigeration side and 34 liters on the freezer side. It's made of a strong plastic filled with foam insulation. The lid is hinged on pins and has a latching handle. A cable keeps it from overextending when you open it and folds inside when closed. As a car fridge, it can be powered directly off of 12 or 24 volts DC and includes a car power adapter cable, but this is also the largest fridge in VECYS line and may not fit in a subcompact. It also comes with a universal 120 or 240 volt AC adapter, so you can power it off of regular household power sources. When empty, it's a bit bulky, but the handles make it easy enough to lift and carry around. But once you fill it up with food, you'll probably want to roll it using the included pull handle and may need two people to lift it. Don't expect these narrow wheels to work on sand. The handles and wheels can be removed with a Phillips screwdriver if you want to fit it into an extra tight space, but you do need to leave a few inches of clearance around the compressor vents for warm exhaust air to escape. As the compressor is oil-filled, you need to keep it upright, and if it does get tipped over, such as in shipping, you need to let it rest upright 24 hours for the oil to drain before using it. When the separator board is in place, each zone has its own set point, and the compressor has a valve that lets it pick which side to cool. The fridge side cannot be set to a temperature colder than the freezer side. If you pull out the separator board, the control panel detects this and automatically switches over to a single zone control. The temperature sensors are embedded inside the fridge, but I measured the temperature of the compartments to be within a few degrees of what the display showed. Running as a fridge, the unit took 180 watt-hours to maintain 37 degrees Fahrenheit for one day. That would be about 15 amp-hours on a 12-volt battery. When I ran it as a freezer at the lowest temperature setting, the compressor ran almost continuously and it was able to maintain a temperature of around -2 Fahrenheit. That's -19 centigrade. It used 640 watt-hours to maintain that temperature for a day. This would be around 51 amp-hours on a 12-volt battery. Both of these tests were run with ambient temperatures near 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. The freezer definitely gets cold enough to keep ice cream hard, but you might not want to run it at the coldest setting for two reasons. First, the lower you set the freezer temperature, the more power it uses. The difference between 180 watt-hours to refrigerate for a day and 640 watt-hours to freeze for a day clearly shows the extra power needed for lower temperatures. Second, the insulating board between the fridge and freezer compartment does let some heat flow from the fridge into the freezer compartment, and the cooler the freezer is, the more likely you are to freeze things in the fridge side. With that in mind, there is one thing you need to know about the dual zone temperature display. If the temperature in the fridge goes below the set point, the display will lie to you and just show the set point. I've measured temperatures of 26 degrees in the fridge when the display was showing the 34-degree set point, so it is possible for the fridge to get colder than what the display shows when you're running in dual zone mode. This only happens when the freezer is set to a much lower temperature than the fridge side, as the freezer constantly running will suck heat away from the fridge, and over enough time you might end up with things in the fridge compartment freezing. This won't be an issue for a weekend trip if you have things with a lot of thermal mass, like a 12-pack of drinks in the fridge, as they will take a long time to get below freezing. However, if you plan on running the fridge and freezer all the time, you should know that the freezer will suck heat out of the fridge compartment, so it's possible the fridge will go below its actual set point depending upon the relative temperature settings. If you remove the board and are using the entire compartment as a fridge or a freezer, this won't be an issue, as the temperature display will be within a few degrees of the actual temperature. From an aesthetic standpoint, I like the looks of the CR18 fridge a bit more, but the CR60 has a lot more storage space and the dual zone flexibility is very nice. Surprisingly, both the 18-liter and the 60-liter models have very similar power draws for maintaining refrigeration or freezing temperatures, so the smaller fridge isn't any more efficient. The maximum watt draw I saw from the CR60 was 60 watts, and the average draw when running was closer to 30 watts. I should mention that they also sell a 35 and 50-liter version, and the only difference between the three is different heights of the body.